Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of It Pays to Be Polarizing. I'm your host, John, aka JP3. Tonight we'll be talking about police corruption and that thin blue line. This one's a tough one because I know a lot of police officers. I know they're very hardworking, and I know that they are honest to a fault. The one thing I'll say, though, is that after watching some trials recently online and being able to see what goes on, it's one of those things where you have to say there isn't such a thing as no police corruption. I look at Massachusetts as a banner in the spotlight for sure. They have two cases going on right now, one with Karen Reed, one with Sandra Birchmore about to start. Those are two very difficult cases. I won't go into depths, but I will tell you the one thing that they're both rampant with is police corruption. I watched some other cases last year. One with Richard Allen up in up in Indiana, where he was the supposed killer of two young girls. And that one, Indiana, very weird with their laws, and they didn't allow certain evidence in that should have been in, that would be in any other state. So that was odd. They kept the trial pretty closed, so people couldn't go in and see. They had to wait in line to be able to get into the courthouse. No media was allowed in there at all with cameras. To be able to take the usual recording they would do. The judge didn't allow it. You look at what happened in the Richard Penny case in New York, where a lot of that was done politically motivated over a gentleman who really did nothing wrong. Some corruption there, not at the police level, but at the city level for sure. But when it comes to the police corruption piece, I look at cases where police get too much tunnel vision too quickly. And that's a problem because they get so focused in on one person that they forget about everything else going on. They don't look at it. And the one thing the police really need to be able to do is read a person when they see them. It's a thing that I do when I play poker. It's about reading people. You got cards in front of you. You think they've got something. They're telling you they've got something. They may not have that at all. It's the same with criminals waiting for their trials. They may say one thing, but they're actually they've done something they shouldn't have done, or they haven't done something that they are being accused of doing, but they don't know how to tell you that they haven't done that. There were several cases last year that fell on both sides of that spectrum. Ones where police got tunnel vision very quickly and ruled out too many outside factors, I will say, that should have been looked at more closely, in my opinion, because there were a couple cases where people were sent to jail in prison for life. And do I think that they either did it or they acted alone in one of the cases? One definitely didn't act alone, and maybe didn't even commit the murder. The other one I honestly feel did not commit a murder and is in prison for that for life. And I'll get a lot of pushback on that from people who know the cases I'm talking about because they're in a chat with me on the daily watching trials. And I express my opinion there too very openly and very strongly, and they're all very aware of that. But if I look at Massachusetts and see what's happening there now, they've circled the wagons on that one case, and guilt is the only thing they want, even though all the evidence says not guilty. And that's the Karen Reed case. I know everyone's talking about that, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Like I said, the next big one coming up is the Sandra Birchmore case. That's one that you have a police officer who may have groomed a girl as young as 13, 14 years old, and then impregnated her when she was 20 or 21, I believe, and then eventually killed her because he had a family already. He's going on trial very shortly. Those things drive me absolutely insane. The fact that we put all our faith in the men and women in blue to do the right thing all the time, yet there are people amongst them, and I'm not saying it's a large percentage, but even if it's not a large percentage, there is no way possible that these other officers that are working with them don't know what they're doing. That thin blue line comes into play with that all the time. They don't want to turn them in because then they'll be outed as a rat, as someone they can't be trusted within the line and within that wall, and they'll be shunned by everyone. They'll be hung out to dry, and in some cases, who knows, maybe set up to be taken out, as used to be done, I should say. I don't know if it's been done recently, but was done in the 70s. There were movies made about it. So it's one of those things that you have to look at and say, I like the police, I really do. I would never not call them if I needed assistance. I would always be the first to call. but there are those ones that I know of, and some things that I will remain very tight-lipped about of things I've witnessed um, in different places that if they happen in the private sector, somebody would be in jail. That's all I will say about that. Anyway, if you would, please hit the like button. Please share this to anyone you think would be interested in it. And subscribe if you would please as well, so I can get the numbers up and get the algorithm boosted and get more followers. Again, this is It Pays to Be Polarizing. I'm John, aka JB3. Have a good night.